There's nothing like trade rumors in the NFL to get the gossip going and the juices flowing. And I can't wait. This is an interesting topic. But Richard Sherman has been rumored to be that there have been trade talks for I think a couple weeks now. And John Schneider came out I think yesterday and confirmed those rumors and said yes, we are looking to trade Richard Sherman and we are serious about it. And a lot of I think naturally anytime you see an All-Pro up for I don't care what position they play, anytime there's a first team All-Pro up for trade, naturally fans are going to want that player, and it's a nice idea. We look at Richard Sherman; he's been one of the best cornerbacks of the last decade, no question about it. If you did make an All-Pro team of this decade, you would put him in it, and he's a great player. He fits in the scheme though, and we're going to get into that here in just a second, but. Should the Dolphins trade for Richard Sherman? I don't think they should, and that's my opinion. We're going to get into that here in just a second. I know some Dolphins fans out there are going to want him because he is Richard Sherman, but I think number one, they're looking. The rumor is they're looking a lot for him, and anytime you're trading a first-team All-Pro, you expect a lot for him. He's only 29 years old, so he's not old, so he still has a lot of years left in him to be a first-team All-Pro. And he's a special player. He's super smart. Obviously, I think that's his biggest asset is how smart he is. He's super smart player, great leader. And I love how I love his personality. I love the swagger he brings to a football field. I love it, and I love Richard Sherman as a player. But obviously, the need there for the Dolphins. Listen, the Dolphins, as an organization, as a team, we have such a young, talented football team. The last thing we need to be doing is trading away picks, especially this upcoming draft where we need to fix this defense and ramp it up. And guess what? This draft, guess what it is? It's stacked with defensive talent. It's stacked on the front seven. It's stacked any position you want: corner, safety, linebacker, defensive end, defensive tackle. There's a lot of talent there. And the last thing this Dolphins team needs to do, since we're building this great team, which we proved last season, the Bleacher Report and I think NFL.com did their top 25 team, 25 and under team, and we had 2 players on it. And the only other franchise to have 2 players on that team was the Dallas Cowboys with Dak and Ezekiel Elliott. So we have a really, really good young football team, and we can continue to build on that with obviously just as many. We need to get as many draft picks as we can. And in my personal opinion, that's how you build a great team that lasts not 1 year, not 2 years, but 5 to 10 years, is doing that through the draft. So I think the last thing the Dolphins need to do, and I think one of the reasons they shouldn't trade for Richard Sherman is that reason. I think picks are really valuable to this football team, and I think staying at 22 and losing a first-round pick would be detrimental to that. I really think that would be devastating to this Dolphins team and the growth of the Dolphins team. I think that would be absolutely devastating, and I really don't. That's the last thing we need to do. So if that is what they're looking for, and then the rumors are true that they are looking for a first-round pick, the last thing we need to do, that's like a Packers trade, is to give up a first-round pick because the Packers, first of all, they need a cornerback. They want to win a ring. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is an older quarterback. That team's an older team. They have a smaller window. We have a huge window, and cornerback again. I don't think cornerback is a big need for this football team at all, and we're going to get into that here in a second. So reason number one is I think we need that number 22 pick in the draft. I don't want to give up a first-round pick for him, and I don't want to even give up a ton of picks for him because that's what you're going to have to do. And like I said, I love Richard Sherman. I understand the appeal there, but I think the Dolphins, as a young football team, as this young nucleus that we have with Jarvis, Kenny, DP, Jay, Ryan, we need to keep them together. We need to keep building on that and build out on the defensive side of the football too. We got great young defensive players too. We're going to get into, so number one, I think we shouldn't trade for him because we need to keep building onto this football team. We don't have that team that is an old grizzled team that has been to the AFC Championship and we're just one move away to getting to the Super Bowl and winning it. We're not that football team yet. We're still building. We're still young. We still have yet to get to that stage yet, and we're going to get there really, really soon. So I think we need to keep improving the team, and that's one of the bigger reasons I don't think we should trade for Richard Sherman. So the number 2 reason is scheme fit and talent. The talent that we have on this football team on the cornerback position is really strong. It's young. They don't have none of our players except maybe Byron Maxwell don't even come close to the name recognition that a Richard Sherman has. And for some people and some fans, that means a lot. And for schematic reasons, I don't think he fits either. Because Adam has said it, Matt Burke said it, and Vance Joseph before him said it. We're trying to get, in terms of the cornerback position, we're trying to get people who are great open field tacklers. Richard Sherman is a great open field tackler, so I'm not taking anything away from him there. We're trying to get people who are strong man press corners to let our rush get to the quarterback, which allows them more time to get to the quarterback. Strong man coverage corners, just the same thing that they do down there in Denver is what we're trying to do down here in Miami. Strong man press corners, man-to-man cornerbacks. Richard Sherman, not a man-to-man cornerback. He's primarily a zone cornerback. He's not on an island. He has an Earl Thomas down there. He has a Cam Chancellor down there, and he never plays close to the line. He never checks a receiver at the line of scrimmage. He never presses. He rarely does. He's primarily a zone corner, so he wouldn't fit our scheme all that much. Not only that, so that's one reason. I think schematic, he just doesn't fit our scheme at all, and what we're trying to build down here in Miami. And then, moving on from that, let's look at the talent level we already have. I think it's super underrated. Now, I have talked about this. I've at least made 3 or 4 videos on the cornerbacks alone, so I'm not going to just give you the regular spiel if you're a fan that, continues. So we're going to get into another discussion I think we can have about the corner. Let's just look at cold, hard numbers, okay? Cold, hard numbers. Let's look at Tony Lippett. Tony Lippett gets a lot of crap for no reason. I have no idea. The only argument that I heard against him is he's not strong and he's skinny. The kid is super talented, and I've said this a million times. Anytime you're switching from receiver and you're playing a totally different position in the NFL, which is cornerback, do you know how hard that is to do? You know what I mean? Like some players can't even make it at their own position in the NFL. So for Tony to do what he did this last season, to have a extremely high productive year, he had 4 interceptions, which is an insane number. And he was a huge reason why we made the playoffs because of injuries. He stepped up and he played big. He played really, really big. So he had a very high productive year. Moving on from Tony, let's look at Byron. Byron was crushed when we made the trade for him and Kiko. We were just blasted for making. We're getting a washed-up cornerback that had his best days in Seattle. Same thing with Kiko, a linebacker that was washed up. He's going to be injured, can't stay healthy, and Byron just completely proved everybody wrong. Had a great season late in the year. Really caught fire when Adam Gates benched him. He had, I can't remember. I think it was 2 forced fumbles, or maybe even more than that. It was 2 to 4. I can't remember. And I think he had he had 2 interceptions. So he had a very high productive year. So let's move on from that. Xavier Howard barely played. He has a bright future in the NFL. I think he's a future Pro Bowler. I've said that many times. He had a forced fumble and an interception in the playoffs against Big Ben Roethlisberger. And then moving on from that to Bobby McCain. Bobby had 2 interceptions, or excuse me, I think it was 1, and a sack. So all of the cornerbacks had high productive years, especially, so Byron, again, had a very, very productive year. Tony had a very, very productive year. Xavier had a very, very productive year. Bobby had a very, very productive year. All the crap that I give Bobby McCain, he had a productive year. He did get turnovers. He had a forced fumble. I think he had 2 interceptions. No, I think he's only had 1, actually. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have it up on the screen. But regardless, all the cornerbacks got turnovers. They were very, very productive. And guess what? The common thread between all of them they're super young. They're all 25 and under, except obviously Byron. So I think we have a very, very, very good secondary, and it's young. And a lot of people forget that. It's like we've had these corners for like 5 years, and they've done nothing. That's how the Dolphins fans treat these guys. They're all young cornerbacks, haven't been in the league 4 years yet, and they just had an extremely productive year. And I'm going to leave you guys with one more stat before I end the video. Not even counting the Miami Dolphins safeties. So just the corners. The Miami Dolphins cornerbacks accounted for 14 turnovers. Guess how many the Seattle Seahawks cornerbacks accounted for? Only 6. Okay, so that goes to show you the production that these young Dolphins corners, that some of them didn't even get to play the entire season. Okay, and they're all, other than Byron, all of them are under the age of 25. That is how insane that stat is. So comparing them to the Seattle Seahawks cornerbacks for production, in terms of production, they are better. Okay, and they're younger. So that is the level of production that these guys put out last season. I do not think the Miami Dolphins should trade for Richard Sherman. And that is going to be it, guys. I am Skags1383, and I'll see you guys in the next one.